Hi guys, we will be discussing today uh, our cloud security project, how to make sure that our cloud infrastructure is secured, and we'll be focusing majorly on identity access management, who has authorization to what, who can who can do what on our cloud infrastructure. And ordinarily on our cloud infrastructure, this is something we're going to be having. And I'll list out the steps, but let me explain the whole concept of what we want to do. We are going to be having a cloud management console where we can manage all of the different users on our cloud infrastructure. As you would know that every organization now are trying to move into the cloud and have all of their digital infrastructures virtualized. So it simply means that we're going to be having a root user who would be like the admin in charge of administration and all of the different assets that we have on our cloud. So on our cloud infrastructure, we want to have different instances. Now, what do I mean? We're going to be having different departments, like having the audit department, having the marketing department, IT department, sales department. We're going to have all of these different departments, and they're going to be having their assets. So their asset could be servers, it could be PCs, but in this case, we're going to be going with servers. So on our AWS Cloud Console, we will be creating an EC2 instance. You see, this EC2 instance is like a virtual computer, a virtual server that you can operate it solely on the cloud. EC2 refers to Elastic Compute Cloud. So this refers to different infrastructures on our cloud. It could be servers, uh, it could be PCs. Good. That is the first thing we need to create. We'll be creating two instances. We'll be creating the audit server and we'll be creating the sales server for these two departments. I believe this is clear. In our audit server and our sales server, we're going to be having something called the AMI. You know, when you buy a computer newly, it used to come pre-installed with whether Windows operating system or it comes with Mac operating system. And from what we've been doing in our past sessions, you'll notice that when we want to install some operating systems, we talk about ISO images. The same thing happens in the cloud. For each instance, an instance, like we had said, the EC2 instance is just like a computer, an empty computer. But the kind of operating system that we can have operating systems like Windows, Mac, Linux on them, but they come with, you can install an ISO image on them. Rather, you'll be installing an AMI image, also known as the Amazon Machine Image. Then, another thing determines the computing power. As you know that your computers usually come in, say, Core i5, your computer can come in Core i5, i7, i9, i3. All of these are different cores, and your computer comes with different kind of RAMs. It's 4 GB of RAM, 8 GB of RAM, 16 GB of RAM, and all of this. Your computers come with all of these different RAM capacities. So what determines your computing power on the cloud is called the instance type. The instance type. So all of these, we're going to be demonstrating them and we're going to be seeing how everything works. Good. So let me just clear all of these things that I have on the screen so that we have it better. So on the instance type, you'll be able to define whether you want to give it you want to make it Core i7, Core i5. You want to have 64 gigabyte RAM, 32 gigabyte RAM, 8 gigabyte of RAM. So depending on the amounts your company is willing to invest and depending on the kind of computing power that you want. Having understood that, we'll be creating two servers, the audit and the sales server. Then we then need to create a group. That is people in the sales group, people in the IT group, people in the... Then for every group, we'll be having a user. So all of these are users in the groups. So this person has access to this group. Now, we want to make sure that there is identity access management. We don't want someone in the audit department to have access to the sales server. The only access we want to give somebody in the audit server is just access to the audit server alone. That is where we need to then create policies. We need to create policies. So these policies here allows and disallow users from accessing different infrastructures. In this case, from this diagram, you see that this cybertech guy can only this guy in the audits. Let me make that clear. Now, if you look at cybertech audit Ali is in the audit group, belongs to the audit group. Now, this guy can have access to this conveniently, but it can't have access to the sales server because it gets blocked when it gets there. Do you understand? So we're going to be creating a policy that allows users that have authorization to get access and denies users that don't have authorization, denies them access. I believe that is clear. So this is how we're going to be doing. So after setting all of this up, then we'll now test our security. So we're going to be going about 6 steps majorly in this project. And the first step we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up an AWS Cloud Console on the AWS platform. We'll be launching an EC2 instance. We'll be creating an IAM policy. We'll be creating an AWS alias. We'll be creating an IAM group user. Then we'll test the IAM user access. So this is the overview of the cloud security project. So we'll start off with setting up an AWS management console in the next video.